about it.
Exactly. If you did, please share.
I hereby call the 2300th meeting of the Milwaukee City Council to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first item of business tonight is National Archives Month Proclamation, which will be introduced by our very own City Recorder, Scott Stauffer, and the Milwaukee Historical Society's Greg Hemer.
One more. Sorry.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity to present National Archive Month to the Council. I'm going to turn over most of our presentation to Mr. Hemer of the museum, but I wanted to point out that the City Recorder's Office for our Carefree Sundays event two months ago, that you'll hear a report on tonight, we produced some stickers that some folks in the community may have seen, but I wanted to just highlight the fact that they are 3 versions of our city logos, and we wouldn't have these to create these awesome retro vintage stickers if we didn't have an archives. This first one is the oldest one. It's from a cheese plate. A cheese plate. The city purchased a set of cheese plates to give out, I think, at one point, and so this version of the
Cheese plate?
Why?
I'd have to check the minutes.
Do it again.
But, this is from a cheese plate, circa 1970s, and that's an image of our original, the first dogwood. The next one, the green one, which proved to be the most popular on Carefree Sundays, maybe because of the green pop on the wording there, but was featured on stationery planning documents, and in fact, some of our older public works vehicles and equipment still feature something that looks like this in our public works yard. And then for those who are around in the 90s or the early 2000s, you might remember this lovely graphic, which definitely screams 1990. So we have these, and we have them thanks to our archives, and I want to say on behalf of the City Recorder's Office that we appreciate very much our relationship with the museum for being our community archives and being our community institutional knowledge along with us. So I'll let Greg go from there.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Mayor, council, city staff, and fellow residents. Milwaukee Historical Society, owners and operators of the Milwaukee Museum, located at 3737 Southeast Adams Street and open on Saturdays 1 to 5 p.m., celebrate, along with our wonderful partners, City of Milwaukee Archival Month. Over the last year, Milwaukee Historical Society has had great success. We had over 80 visitors to our 2019 Historic Home Island Station Tour and over 250 visitors to our Christmas at the Museum. We continue to strive as we have increased the amount of patrons from last year into Milwaukee Museum. We look forward to the future as the organization grows and residents of Milwaukee celebrate not only the great present of today, but how important our history was, not only in the state, but in the nation. Our City Recorder's Office is second to none, and Scott, Hannah, and Amy spend countless hours preserving our city's records based on your decisions. Milwaukee Historical Society strives not only to complement the work of City Recorder's Office, but relay stories of people, cultures, businesses, and events that shape Milwaukee not only from the past, but the present of today. We enjoy our relationship with City Recorder's Office and the ease of working together to share information and provide each other with platforms to distribute the information to our residents. We know today archives are much more than documents, but the information provided from social media to video recordings to even the written word. Milwaukee Museum houses the world's largest collection of artifacts, photographs, and documents about Milwaukee, Oregon, although the city may be close. Our collection has countless artifacts related to the past, related to the past of Milwaukee, and our Claire Kupenbender Research Library has countless documents and photos of the days gone by. You should take a look for yourself at our current exhibits. Milwaukee Kids Growing Up in the Good Old Days, Milwaukee, Dogwood, City of the West, and the Way It Once Was tells the story of Milwaukee with archival information. Even though Milwaukee Museum is second to none, we have taken strides to ensure our archives will be viewable and accessible to the public in a comprehensive way. In 2019, we created a collections committee led by Mark Hurlbert, our curator, with Jesse Tremblay and Haley McCoy. They created a new policy for archiving, donating, and preserving our collection into a simpler computerized system where the public will benefit from seeing more of our collection. They will create traveling trunks where artifacts can be displayed at public venues, not only for residents to enjoy, but also making sure that by leaving the museum, the artifacts will be accounted for and ensured that they will be preserved for future generations. We have also created a home history program. For a nominal fee, we'll do research on your home, providing you with information of past owners from DLC to current occupants.
DLC meaning donation land claim.
Yes.
Yeah, not everyone's going to know that.
Sorry. The document and research provides home occupants the history and a real-life connection to their home's past. One of you may have received this wonderful document and appreciates the hard work and dedication the information provides. Milwaukee Historical Society also recognizes that gaps in our archival history exist. This may be due to lack of attention, bias of history writers, or overall ignorance to the importance of certain ethnicity contributions to our society. We are striving to complete Family Farms, a link to immigrants in Milwaukee. We will create documents and displays that link the immigrants' past, namely Japanese, Italian, and Swedish entrepreneurs that created most of our family farms in the early 20th century. We will link land history from Native Americans to the family farms so residents can understand and appreciate the hard work and sacrifices people made to where your home is today. We are also trying to complete our archives. Milwaukee Museum is in the beginning stages of our newest project entitled Milwaukee 2023. Milwaukee 2023 will help us celebrate the 120th year anniversary of our city's incorporation. The project's objective is to collect oral histories from the older generations or generational families from past decades that may be lost by time. By the time of Milwaukee's 120th birthday, Milwaukee 2023 will have captured these stories, either written or videoed, and will create a presentation as a birthday gift to the Milwaukee residents. Project 2023 needs your help, though. Before we can begin conducting interviews, we would like to know what you, the residents of Milwaukee, would like to learn more about. What kind of questions would you ask longtime residents or generational families about the decades that preceded our times? Milwaukee is looking for your feedback. We have set up a special email address for you to share your thoughts. Please email us at Milwaukee2023@gmail.com with your questions or topics you would like to see preserved for future generations. As you can see, our archives mean a lot to preserving our city's history. Whether it is recorded history from the City Recorder's Office or from Milwaukee Historical Society, preserving these records benefit not only ourselves today, but to future generations of Milwaukee. Now, Mayor Gamba, if you could please read the proclamation.
All right. Whereas the preservation of our shared history is essential to understanding who we are and where we are going as a community, and whereas civic and community archives collect and preserve the documents and materials that express who we are as a people, and whereas civic and community archives would not exist without the professional and volunteer support of individuals and organizations who work tirelessly to preserve the records of our shared experiences, and whereas the community's shared history is carefully preserved by the Office of the City Recorder and the Milwaukee Historical Society, who recommend the proclaiming of National Archives Month in the hope that we may continue to appreciate and value our common story as an inspirational force for our shared future. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon. do hereby proclaim the month of October 2019 as National Archives Month in the Dogwood City of the West.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I neglected one talking point I wanted to throw out there, too, because Greg included the seal of the state archivist, who are our close colleagues here in Oregon, and we work closely with them, the folks down in Salem. On October 26th, they'll have an open house at our state archives in Salem, so if you're able to make it to Salem, it's a wonderful facility. Just can imagine the items they have in their collection. They'll have an opening of their new exhibit called Rust, Rot, and Ruin Stories of Oregon Ghost Towns. So we of course, focus on Milwaukee here, but we also have great partnerships. And so I'd encourage folks to reach out and visit State Archives October 26th for that event. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can I also say, since there was an allusion to one of the counselors having received a history of their home, that's me. I put my home in the home tour that they did in June, which was a great experience. They did an amazing job. They were very organized, and I got this great history as sort of a thank you gift, as well as a really cool ceramic birdhouse that looks like my house. But I would just encourage anybody who's approached by the museum to participate in a future home tour to please keep in mind it's worth doing, not only to sort of let people know the history of some of the homes in our community, but you might get a nice history of your own home.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Okay, next we have the National Planning Month, the proclamation, and this will be introduced by our Community Development Director, Leila Aman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Councilors, Leila Aman, your Community Development Director. It's a hard act to follow, Greg Heemer, but I'll do my best. I'm also filling in for Denny Egner, so I'm also a poor substitute for your Planning Director, but I will also do my best. So this month is Community Planning Month. We're asking you to read a proclamation to acknowledge the community planning that is happening nationwide, but particularly in our community as well. When Denny asked me to do this, I went and spoke with the planning staff yesterday and asked all of them, when you think of Community Planning Month, what do you think of? And all of them said, well, the community. That was the first thing that came out of all of their mouths, is that the community is what drives, I believe, their passion. I'm speaking for them, but I think I can do so. It certainly is what drives mine. And that the majority of what we do as professional planners is implement things that our citizen planners bring to us. I think that that is ultimately the goal of anyone in public service, but certainly planning is probably a little deeper relationship with the community, because our job is to really translate what the community tells us into what the built environment looks like. And I think that since I've joined the team at Milwaukee almost 2.5 years ago, I have been thoroughly and continually impressed with the level of engagement that this community has undertaken. So both from the citizen side, so those that participated in our visioning process, an award-winning process, I might add, as well as the planners and our volunteers on the boards, both our Planning Commission, the Design and Landmarks Committee as well. It's an exceptional group of people that participate on all levels, and that's what we'll lead to. And as we're seeing, as our community grows and changes, it reflects those values. So when Denny asked me to do this, I was kind of running through my head all the things I was going to say, and what I kept coming back to is one of my inspirations to get into planning. Some of you know I grew up in the Portland region. What inspired me to get into this work is seeing how our community changed. And when I started studying planning as a profession, it really became evident to me it was not by happenstance. A lot of what we have accomplished here in the city dates back probably 40 years ago to one of my personal heroes, which is former Governor Tom McCall. And so before I ask the mayor to read the proclamation, I'd like to give you my favorite quote from Tom McCall, which is, heroes are not giant statues painted against a red sky. They are the people who say, this is my community and it is my responsibility to make it better. Our community reflects that in a way that I don't think I've quite seen. I've worked nationally and locally, and I'm proud to be part of this community and proud to bring this before you today. Thank you.
Well said. I think it's particularly apropos, this proclamation, because we are going through the hardest planning process that a city does, and the last time we did it was 30 years ago. So it's our planning department is doing a huge lift right now on top of all the other development things that are going on that they normally would be dealing with. So whereas community planning provides a wide range of benefits, including opportunities to evaluate and manage the constant change that affects cities and the region in a way that provides better choices for how people work, play, and live, involve residents and business owners in making choices that determine the future of their community, and educate the public officials and citizens that they understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning makes to the quality of our settlements and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of the Planning Commission, the Design and Landmarks Committee, and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Milwaukee, as well as to recognize the valuable contributions made by the city's professional planners and extend our thanks for the continued commitment to public service by all of these individuals. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, the Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas and State of Oregon, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2019 is hereby designated as Community Planning Month in the City of Milwaukee in conjunction with the national celebration of the Community Planning Month. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yet another proclamation. We have Arbor Day proclamation. This will be introduced by our Public Works Director, Peter Passerelli.
Good evening, Mayor Gamba and council members. I'm Peter Passerelli, the Public Works Director for the City of Milwaukee. I'm here this evening to introduce the proclamation for our city's Arbor Day celebration, which will be held on October 19th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at our Johnson Creek campus. The celebration will have a ceremonial tree planting, a tree giveaway, and additional volunteer planting opportunities at the Johnson Creek campus with refreshments as well. As you know, our city's urban forest serves a wide variety of functions that promote the health, safety, and general welfare of our community. These functions include conserving energy by providing shade and keeping our homes and streets cooler, improving local and regional air quality by absorbing carbon dioxide, ozone, and particulate matter, as well as producing oxygen. It reduces noise pollution. It provides habitat for wildlife, reduces stormwater runoff. It increases real estate value. And it also enhances the visual and aesthetic qualities of our community to help attract visitors and businesses and establish community character. A healthy urban forest is of increasing importance because they advance our efforts to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Through photosynthesis, our urban forest sequesters carbon from the atmosphere and stores it as wood, acting as a carbon sink. An average-sized tree can store hundreds of pounds of carbon over its lifetime, and our native evergreens have particularly high carbon storage capacities. Neighborhoods are well shaded with street trees, can be up to 6 to 10 degrees cooler than neighborhoods without significant tree canopy. Reducing energy needs. Just 3 trees properly placed around a house can save residents up to 30% of energy use. As you know, regional precipitation is expected to increase in the years to come. Trees capture and store rainfall in their canopy while also creating soil conditions that allow greater infiltration of rainwater, thereby reducing demands on our stormwater system. All of these services provided by trees directly benefit Milwaukee's residents. Because of this, the city and staff have been working hard to develop and implement the Urban Forest Management Plan to plant, protect, and promote trees in Milwaukee. Through outreach events like our Arbor Day celebration, Milwaukee is well on its way to achieving our goals of 40% canopy coverage by 2040 and managing a healthy and vibrant urban forest. Mayor Gamba, if you could please read the Arbor Day proclamation.
Be honored. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was the first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees play an integral part in capturing and storing carbon and are therefore critical to a climate solution, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs of residents, moderate the temperature of an increasingly developed and warming cities, clean the air and provide health benefits for the community, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide and improve habitat for fish and wildlife. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Mark Gamba, Mayor of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, do hereby proclaim October 19th, 2019 as Arbor Day in Milwaukee, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to mitigate climate change and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have the city manager updates.
I'm actually going to skip. We have a number of people in the audience tonight, so we'll do it another time.
Okey doke. So next up is the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the August 27th, 2019 special session, the September 3rd, 2019 work session, September 3rd, 2019 regular session, and September 10th, 2019 study session. It also includes an Oregon Liquor Control Commission application for Eric's Market at 2410 Southeast 32nd Avenue for off-premises sales. Does any member of council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
No.
I would.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None heard. It passes unanimously. Audience participation. This is the part of the agenda during which council will hear community member statements regarding city business. Those wishing to speak must fill out the yellow speaker registration card available on the table in the hall and identify agenda item number 4, audience participation. As council has other business items on the agenda this evening, speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. Because the information provided during public comment may be new to some councilors, the city manager will respond at the next council meeting to those comments that require follow-up. Before we begin, are there any follow-up reports from the September 17th audience participation, Ms. Ober?
There was no audience participation.
All righty. So I have several cards, 2 of which Courtney and Ronell are ceding their time to Matt. Greg, are you coming up with Matt?
Yeah, just for a quick little.
Okay, so we'll put 10 minutes. Great. Thank you. Come on up.
This is complete set. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
All set? Yep. All right.
total ask. All right.
All right. My name's Greg Bartz-Bowman, 10677 Southeast 28th Avenue here in Milwaukee, and also a citizen planner. I just want to bring up the Monroe Greenway, and specifically the area between Oak and 42nd, and just give a quick little look at the backstory of how we came up with that in the Monroe Greenway committee, the advisory committee that both Matt and I served on. The main reasons were there was too much traffic on Monroe between Oak and 42nd. The speed was too high, and the suggestion by the committee to put in a diverter at 37th to prevent people from heading up Monroe was pretty much, through our outreach in the community, was seen as something that the community really didn't want. So the committee itself came up with a concept plan to find an alternative between Oak and 42nd using a parallel road to Monroe. And I just think it's important that we know that that was something that came from the community, and we'd like to see certainly continue.
And with that, I'm going to read you the letter that I just passed around. Dear City Council, we are writing to ask that you make changes to the Monroe Neighborhood Greenway concept plan prior to any large-scale development taking place in central Milwaukee. We have attached a proposal which will vastly improve the safety and security of the Monroe Greenway project between Oak Street and 37th. As planned, the Monroe Greenway, combined with any future development on the McFarland site, will negatively affect the safety and security of the Greenway to such a degree that we feel changes need to be made immediately to the Monroe Neighborhood Greenway concept. There are now things that we know which we didn't know when we created the Monroe-Washington Street alignment during the Monroe concept planning process. Those are things we know, but we have been advised by staff not to talk to council about. The concept plan was just that, a concept, and as such, it should still be open for discussion and modification as new information informs and affects it. We should not be put in a position where we try to solve problems after the fact. The new proposed route was shared with city staff on 9/17/2019, and staff has had Alta Planning give them feedback on the idea. However, there has been no response from staff to us. In addition, there have been multiple conversations in recent months between city staff and other stakeholders surrounding the Monroe Greenway and how to make it safe for the widest possible group of users. However, there has not been significant enough progress in solving these safety and security issues, leaving us with what we believe will be an inferior and unsafe Monroe Greenway project as a result. In addition to making the route safer, we also believe that our proposal makes any future development on Monroe Street between Oak and 37th on either side of Monroe more lively, active, and makes future development projects in central Milwaukee more marketable to potential renters who live an active lifestyle. This proposal has been well received by community members who have seen it, including residents who had previously been opposed to the Monroe Greenway. Attached, you will find a limited version concept that we have created. We have removed references to any possible land use application and hope that you adopt it as the preferred Monroe Neighborhood Greenway, Washington Street alternative connection. We also ask that you remove the current Washington Street route between Oak and 37th, the path along the railroad tracks and the crossing of 37th from the Monroe Greenway concept plan. And at the bottom of this list, you'll see 18 residents, a wide range of residents. And we got this list of 18 residents literally in the last 36 hours. If we had a couple weeks, I think we could probably double the number of people that are supporting this.
Yeah, and the one thing, the people who did sign the letter are all community leaders. I mean, they're well known in the community.
So I think that's the letter. Obviously, you have it. I think this request that we're making is actually not that different from when Mayor Gamba was working with, I believe it was TriMet, to solve problems with stakeholders in terms of where the trolley trail crosses 22nd Avenue. And that was happening like design and construction like happening at the same time, and literally like trying to hash out how to make that intersection safer for the trolley trail. I think what we're bringing to you is a little bigger, but it's the same kind of issue that we're seeing. We're seeing some problems that we're hearing people will not use the Monroe Greenway the way it is in the concept plan. I want to remind council and staff that the Monroe Greenway was conceived of and promoted by residents. It was not an idea suggested by staff or Metro. We built support in the community for this project, and it would not be where it is today if it had not been for our grassroots organizing. As such, we will continue to defend this project and work towards the highest quality and safest Monroe Greenway possible. The city needs the continued support of the community. Without our support and involvement, this project will not be as successful. Please take quick action by scheduling a work session on this matter. Ask staff for all the information that is guiding their decision-making process, and follow up with community members so that you fully understand our concerns. Then you can make the best possible decision for your community. Thank you for your time and consideration, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.
And if you have any questions.
I do, actually. So, I mean, as a cyclist, I'm well aware of the terrain that we're talking about. And if I were riding from, the way I currently ride this route,
Sure.
because I do ride this route all the time, is I actually go behind the shopping center in the sort of truck street that they have back there for a couple reasons. One, there's no traffic.
Sure.
And two, it's flat.
Okay.
Right? Which is
And that's,
what you want for cyclists.
I would say that's close to why we came up with that original route. But
Right.
there are reasons that I cannot talk with you tonight about the path next to the train tracks that are telling us that that route will not be safe.
Okay. All right. Let's just leave it at that.
Well, I was hoping for a question.
Well,
We don't generally have,
Yeah.
well, no, we ask,
It's fine.
we ask questions.
ask questions, yeah, but we haven't had a chance to
Of course.
like really absorb.
Right.
Yeah, I know, we're kind of dropping
I'm
this
sure
on
there
you,
will be.
so-
Yeah, this was just off the cuff.
Yep.
My
Yeah.
first look at it. Yeah, we'll have to absorb this, and then,
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Charles Mays.
Reminded me he's only got 3.
Yep, 3 minutes.
Got it. Good evening. First of all, I'm Charles Mays with Cambia Asparagus Farm. I see tonight, I'm here at a planning committee thing, and I just wanted to let you know that I started my planning too for the next 3 months. So I spent approximately $40,000 on television advertisement with Channel 8, Channel 12, and Channel 6, I think is what it is, and Fox and CW. So I wanted to let you know that I'm doing my planning for Milwaukee for the next 3 months, also for the holidays. So I thought that was pretty good that you guys were having a planning committee report tonight. What I'm here tonight is to talk to about also is John, the parking enforcement guy. I think he's doing a wonderful job. I hope that the city is paying him well, and I'm going to say it like that there. But we have a little problem over there on Scott and Main. We have 3 areas there that have yellow lines, and I find that people that come into Milwaukee, even though there's signs posted posted. Those strips there on the corner of Scott and Main are faded yellow parking strips, and I think that the city should really paint them. If the city cannot afford the money to paint those spots, please let me know, and I'll donate the money to paint those spots, or I'll have somebody paint them for you. I find that people come into Milwaukee to eat lunch, dinner, whatever. I should say lunchtime during the daytime, and I watch them eat a $20 lunch, $15 lunch, and they walk away with an $80 ticket. So please try to address those parking strips there on Scott and Main. It's pretty bad that we have those parking strips there that are generating the city of Milwaukee lots of money, because I see all the tickets that the city is getting from those tickets with John, and I think John's doing a wonderful job. Now, the other thing is I want to commend the city for having somebody mow that park across the street over here off of McLaughlin. It looks very nice, so I want to say the park looks real nice being mowed. But other than that, I just come to talk about John and those yellow stripes, because for the next 3 months, you know, I'm going to have people coming in, and for them getting tickets during lunch hour is pretty sad.
So just to be clear, you're talking about the actual painting of the spaces in the street, or you're talking about the painting of the curbs as no parking, or?
There's, on the corner of Scott and Main, there's 3 areas there that have yellow stripes, but you better have a pair of good glasses to see the yellow stripes, because it's, over the years, there's nothing there but light yellow and engraved, the concrete, and John gives those people a ticket of about $80.
Because they're parking across a crosswalk? Is that what it is?
They're yellow, no parking.
They're no parking.
They're no parking.
Okay.
But, you know, you really have to see, you should, you know, if I knew anything about picture taking, I'd take some pictures, but anyway, it's quite obvious.
Okay.
If you're not doing anything, take a peek at those and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It's sad that people come down here to eat lunch and they get an $80 parking ticket for parking in that yellow spot. There is a sign posted, but that yellow strip just doesn't cut it. You know what I mean? But anyway, other than that, I just want to let you know that I'm on my campaign again for the next 3 months, trying to sell tamales here in downtown Milwaukee.
Watch for those advertisements.
There you go. Thank you very much for letting me take your time.
Sure.
But hopefully we'll do something about those yellow spots, those yellow stripes. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, Mike.
My name is Mike Lipes, 3800 Filbert Street here in Milwaukee. And I am, Mr. Gamba, I am so super upset with you. I read your Milwaukee Pilot interview from about 2 months ago, where you invited people who were here illegally to come to Milwaukee, and you would accept them no matter what their status is. And that really bothers me. If somebody comes here who's here illegally and kills somebody, are you responsible? Are you going to accept the responsibility? You know that's going on all around the country. You read about it in the paper all the time. I don't understand why you did that. What does that say to people who come here legally and go through all the machinations they have to go through? And you invite people here that are illegal. Are you responsible for any crimes they commit? I'm really upset about this, as you can tell.
I hear.
Are you responsible?
We are a welcoming community to anybody that's here, period.
What a ridiculous answer. Okay, I wanted you to know how I feel about that, and I think that you're wrong. Nobody agrees with me. Everybody agrees with the mayor. Okay.
All right. All right. Other business. We have an expedited annexation of 6007 Southeast Firwood Street, file number A-2019-004, an ordinance. This will be introduced by our Assistant Planner, Mary Eberling.
All right. Hello, my name is Mary Heberling, Assistant Planner for the City of Milwaukee, and I'm here to bring an annexation from Clackamas County into the city. at 6007 Southeast Firwood Street. It's an expedited annexation. The goal for the property owners is to connect to the city sewer. It's in the Nisi area of the city, and they would be in the R7 zone. So they're the R7 zone in the county, and they're going to be R7 in the city if they're annexed. The annexation meets all of the relevant state, regional, and city criteria. The city notified all interested parties and necessary parties. We heard no objections from any of the necessary parties. And quick and simple, your options are either to approve or deny. And I'm happy to pull up where this property is located if you need it.
Need to see the map? Anything? No?
Looking at it on the screen.
Any questions?
No.
All right. I would entertain a motion.
Shall I? I move for the first and second readings by title only and adoption of the ordinance annexing a tract of land identified as tax lot 12E30DA 05900 and located at 6007 Southeast Firwood Street into the city limits of the city of Milwaukee, file number A-2019-004.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded for first and second readings by title only and adoption of the ordinance annexing a tract of land identified as tax lot 12E30DA 05900 and located at 6007 Southeast Firwood Street into the city limits of the city of Milwaukee, file number A-2019-004. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None heard. Ms. Ober, would you please read the ordinance by title only twice?
An ordinance of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, annexing a tract of land identified as tax lot 12E30DA 05900 and located at 6007 Southeast Firwood Street into the city limits of the City of Milwaukee, file number A-2019-004. And again, an ordinance of the City of Milwaukee, Oregon, annexing a tract of land identified as tax lot 12E30DA 05900 and located at 6007 Southeast Firwood Street into the city limits of the City of Milwaukee, file number A-2019-004.
Mr. Stoffa, would you please poll the council?
Councillor Beatty.
Aye.
Councillor Parks.
Aye.
Councillor Heisey.
Aye.
Council President Falconer.
Aye.
Mayor Gamba.
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0, ordinance 2181.
Mary,
Yes.
I know there's a couple more coming down the pike, I believe. I mentioned this, I think it was to maybe Brett last time, but I think it'd be great to get just an update on the Nisi numbers overall, like how many have annexed and how many remain to annex. When I look at the maps, I'm sort of like, is this in or is this out? And where is this dotted line? And, so it'd be nice to just have maybe a few minutes when the next one comes around to spend on the map and talk about that.
Yes, we're aware of that, and I'm pretty positive Brett's been counting.
Okay.
By hand. And I told him there's a lot easier way to do it, but he likes it that way, so he'll bring that next time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mary. Okay, our next item is the Carefree Sunday Review and Fall Events Preview. This will be introduced by our Community Programs Coordinator, Jason Wachs, and Events Specialist, Laura Kirk.
I recognize that map.
You probably know where it is. Yeah, that's sugar right there.
I don't know if I got it.
Yeah?
Where are you saying it?
Okay. So it's in the share. One second.
seems like somebody needs to clean out the directory.
It's just,
Don't look at that.
Isn't it National Archives Month?
I think you can actually move that folder like back over to the laptop screen.
It's Archives Month, not Miracle Month.
Should I get the right
There you are.
one? All right. Sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Jason Wax. I'm the Community Programs Coordinator at the City of Milwaukee, and I'm here with...
Laura Kirk, the Event Specialist for the City of Milwaukee.
We're here tonight to give you a recap and a little report on a small event that we had in August that I think all of you attended, called Carefree Sunday. The last time we came to a city council meeting to talk about this event was in June, and we were in the throes of kind of getting it all together. And so we're here to talk about all the things that we learned, all the successes that we had, and kind of look at the future and kind of see where we want to take this event in next year. So I'm just going to start with kind of some of the things that, let's go from the beginning here, that everyone's always curious about when it relates to this event. So stepping back, the route that we had this year was about 3.5 miles long. We had 3 primary activity areas, so we had Ball Michelle Park, Wichita Park, and Water Tower Park. We also ended up having what essentially was another activity area at, I'm not remembering.
Grace Point.
Grace Point Church, which was very gracious and a great partner this year. In fact, in the future, I think we're probably looking at having them be one of our primary activity areas because it was that popular and they were so excited about it. One of the things that we did, we used future greenways that were talked about tonight, including Monroe and Stanley. And we also, as you know, had to make the route a little bit different from what we originally planned. We originally had the northern section of it going along the Springwater Trail, but due to the closure of the bridge last minute, we had to sort of reroute it through the neighborhood. And, in the end, that was a good, there were positives and negatives that came from that we can talk a little bit more about. So attendance. So we had volunteers basically count folks at 4 different times on different parts of the route. And there's just some magical formula. I won't get into that tonight, but essentially we estimate probably about 5,000 people. It's really difficult to get an accurate number in an event like this just because it changes so much through the 5 hours. But we're pretty confident that that's about what we saw. As you know, it was kind of hot that day. We definitely expected that maybe the temperatures, if they were a little bit lower, would have had a higher attendance. But overall, we were very happy with the first year event. People came out, people had a really good time. So, I think we have a lot to build from, but also we were very successful this first year. I'm going to let Laura talk about the activity areas a little bit more. She was really instrumental in working with the vendors and all the different activities that we had, and she just did a fabulous job. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit more about each one of them and kind of the things that we saw that were really successful.
Thank you. Yeah, so we'll talk about our first activity area. We were able to theme each of our different areas. Our presenting sponsor, Moda Health, spent many hours creating an interactive cooling station. We called it the Moda Health Hydration Station. It was a spin cycle bicycle wash modeled after a real car wash that participants could ride or walk their bikes through. It was very, very popular. We had hundreds of participants that rode through the station, some going through multiple times. They also had tent activation with fruit-infused water, free water bottles, and it was a great interaction for them with the community. The Portland Opera hosted their Opera a la carte food truck stage from noon to 2. Dozens of people got to stop by for part or all of the show, and we're really surprised to hear live opera at this type of event. We got some great feedback about the opera performances in the street. We had Elk Rock Wellness as well at the Moda Health Hydration Station. They gave massages, they got people moving, doing yoga, hula hooping. Missing Link Bicycle Shop, our official bicycle shop for the event, was there to help people with flats or any bike repair so that they could continue on their way. And so Water Tower Park was really focused on health and being active, and it was a great success, especially with that spin cycle station.
One thing about the spin cycle that I had to mention, they never tested it. They actually made it without testing it and brought it, but they were very happy that no one fell over inside of it, and it all worked out just fine. So, yeah.
When I was going to say the opera was lovely, I felt bad for them because where they were, there was sort of no shade for people to watch, and I felt like they would have had a lot more people really engaging if it had not been such a hot day, and they weren't like baking in the sun. Yeah.
So on the, I thought it was really cool to see the bike booth, the booth there but I also witnessed someone blow a tire, and it was someone who was also pulling, I don't remember if it was a trailer or a tag along. So not, and then also had a kid who was on his own bike, and so it was like really, he was stranded and was, on the phone, was going to have to try to get someone else to come and help, and I wondered if there might be a mobile, ability for someone to sort of be riding the route next time and sort of be looking out for opportunities to help out.
Yeah. I know Sunday Parkways looks for those types of folks. Usually they kind of require them to have their own stuff.
I mean,
volunteer.
Not saying it would be an easy lift, but maybe just something to think about.
Something we could maybe explore with our bike sponsor, bike repair sponsor. Yeah. Good point.
Anybody out there, give us a call.
Our activity area at Wichita Park, we had it themed as the PGE Clean Energy Future at Wichita Park. At the PGE booth, event-goers learned about the benefits of powering their day with 100% renewable power. They learned about Milwaukee's Electric Avenue charging stations. They also had children's activities about the importance of using electricity safely and wisely. Our stage sponsor, we had a nice stage at this park, was TriMet. The entertainment included Olive and Dingo, a clown duo, performing family-friendly shows. We had PGE and Mad Science presented Energy to Share, an entertaining, energetic show that featured the attributes of electricity, where it comes from, how it travels, how to use it wisely. And we also had the School of Rock Portland play some hits and close it out strong. The Linwood Neighborhood Association partnered with Scrap PDX. They created a bike decorating booth. They led lots of other activities at the park as well, including an amazing mister that kept us all cool. The JLA Public Involvement had a booth to talk about the Safe Access for Everyone program, and got to share a lot of information with the community there at that booth. And we had North Clackamas Parks and Recreation there. It was their newest park, so they kind of got to show it off. They brought in a climbing wall, which was very, very popular, and had their rec mobile there with all of their activities.
Every park had a mister, and I'd say that was maybe the best one. It worked very well. We had our meeting there actually when we were talking about the event, and by the time we got out of it, we were soaked, pretty much.
Our third activity area was at Ball Michelle Park. The Llewellyn Neighborhood District Association really stepped up here, managed the stage, provided misters for this park. The lineup featured White Collar, the Lashbrook Brothers Band, and the Ukuleles. The performances were very well attended, and the musicians expressed interest in playing future events. At this park, we also had our Breakside Brewery with their Winnebago, serving their frosty beverages. it was actually, Carefree Sunday was one of the first events that the Winnebago went to this summer, so that was exciting. Johnson Creek Watershed Council had a booth to recruit volunteers for its August cleanup. And also they were able to do some education, talking about native salmon, and it was a very popular stop. And of course, our unofficial activity area at Grace Point Church. Grace Point was very supportive of our event. They hosted a number of activities. They had live music, free barbecue, 3 bouncy houses. They also hosted our bicycle obstacle course and our newest skate park, Stronger Skate Park ramps and their additional parking lot. They were very hospitable. Other things that they did was they moved their entire Sunday service so that they could use the day to engage with the community and throw this event with us.
Wow.
Other highlights along the route, we like that we got to really feature the Greenway and bring more awareness of what a Greenway is, what it would look like, give people the opportunity to ride the streets. We also had lots of community members engage. We had the Milwaukee Historical Society, the Environmental Stewards Group, the museum, numerous yard sales, lemonade stands, pop-up, yard signs, very, very active neighbors along the route.
I think next time we should tell the community to have smaller items for sale at their yard sales. There were like TVs, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure how people are going to take these with them, but maybe they can figure it out.
Bring your own trailer.
All right. So volunteers, of course, this event does not happen without a lot of volunteer help. We had 118 total volunteers, 132 shifts basically from the 118 volunteers. So each one of those shifts was 3.5 hours long. And you can see that we had a lot of individual shifts, organization shifts, meaning groups that took over an intersection and had volunteers come while they also did outreach into the community. We had 26 individual fundraising volunteers. Those are folks that we actually gave money to kind of boost our volunteer numbers up, especially towards the end. And those folks didn't have a chance to have engagement opportunities with the community, but they basically were committing to bring a whole bunch of volunteers with them. And 14 volunteers worked double shifts, so that's a long day. While that's great, we certainly don't want folks to have to do that. So that's something that we'll work on, I think, in the future. We want folks to be able to volunteer, but also enjoy the event as well. So 7 hours of in the hot sun's a long day. There's some of the groups that we had. Rotary Club always comes out. Thank you, Councilor Parks. They've been to every single one of our Sunday Parkways events as well. But we also had 3 neighborhood associations, Habitat for Humanity. So it was just a great group effort. Some of the outreach and marketing, I know we showed you a promo video that we made in June. We ended up having about 2,700 people view that. Lots of pilot articles, obviously, throughout the year. We put a 2-page ad in the North Clackamas Answer Guide about the event. That's the July pilot insert that we did. We really found that was really valuable for people. They definitely brought it with them. We were able to use it to kind of navigate their way around the event. We did a digital billboard on 99E for about a month that featured all of our sponsors. As you can see, the top is actually what it looks like. My photo taking of that was not very successful, but we definitely got comments of folks who saw it there as well. Social media and web, this is our own social media efforts. Some of the examples, including the day of, to try to get people to come out. Our website that featured the volunteers, the vendors, and the sponsors as the major headlines. And what we really love loved it. It was the fact that the outreach and marketing that we got from our partners, Grace Point Church, moving their service, really getting their congregation really fired up about the event to come out and help and tell their friends and family. The farmers market had it on their website to promote it. And then that's just one of Moda Health's Facebook posts the day of. They really, really were excited to be there, and they felt that they had a really good, very valuable engagement experience in the community. So they were really happy. Some of the notification, as you know, this is important to tell folks that we're going to shut their streets down for 5 hours. This was one of the postcards. This is a postcard that went out about 2 weeks in advance to all the folks on the route. Really, the purpose of this was to not only notify them, but also encourage them to get involved, come out in the front yard, volunteer, but also things to keep in mind if folks have to drive that day, to make sure they look for a volunteer on the street corner in a yellow shirt, things like that. And then we also, a week prior to the event, did about 600 door hangers, not only to the folks on the route, but also in some of the adjacent streets that were highly impacted, especially some of the cul-de-sacs where basically if you left your house by car, you'd have to cross the route. You had no other choice. So again, some things to keep in mind, but also just kind of keeping it fun, encouraging them to just join in. But if you have to drive that day, to make sure you look for a volunteer to help you through the route. So expenses, this does not include staff costs, but in terms of, this was a breakdown of what it ended up looking like, from the consulting services and route notification to the activity areas, our marketing and branding, and just kind of, all the little costs that come up. So we were at about $48,000. So we're actually pretty happy with what ultimately occurred. One of the ways that we kept costs down, obviously, is using a lot of volunteers, but also in our entertainment, Laura did a really good job of just trying to find really good entertainment that people would enjoy, but without a lot of cost involved. And since Laura did an exceptional job with sponsors and grants, I'm going to let her just kind of go over what that ended up looking like.
Yeah, we were able to generate revenue to produce the event, and we had some great supporters. Of course, we've talked about Moda, our presenting sponsor. We also received 2 grants, one from Oregon's Mount Hood Territory and one from Metro. We had lots of major sponsors that helped us: PGE, TriMet, Northwest Natural, Bob's Red Mill. Lots of other partners stepped up with things in trade that they could add value to the event with, such as our bike shop, NCPRD, with all of their assistance with our parks, Briggside Brewery with their Winnebago, and then all of our waste and recycling was free, thanks to Waste Management and Hoodview Disposal and Recycling. So lots of community partners that stepped up to help with the event. We're very active.
I had people asking me, where do I buy that T-shirt?
That's a good question. That is something we should think about in the future, is probably having those for sale.
So how many did we have left over?
Not that many.
Yeah.
Actually, we ended up not having that many. We'll probably need more larges next time. We're learning in terms of trying to count, how many we actually need and how many we, of what size. But we'll get better next year. But it is something we'll think about, I think, in the future.
I mean, Portland doesn't sell them because the T-shirts are how you identify people who are working,
Volunteer.
who know the game, who you can ask questions to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could have them to sell afterwards, I guess.
Or do 2 different versions.
Do 2 colors. Or
2 colors.
Volunteer version.
2 colors
Right.
could be an option.
The everyone version. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. Or sell the previous year's version next year, something like that. So the budget outlook for next year, as you know, we skipped a year between Sunday Parkways and this event, so it obviously gave us a buffer with some of the money that we've been allocating, of the $20,000 we've been allocating for Sunday Parkways, but also for this event. So with the revenue that we were able to raise raised from sponsors and grants, our costs this year, and then basically the last couple years, but also, as of July 1, it's assumed that we'd want to put $20,000 towards this event again. So, when July 1 comes, that would eventually be the funding that we'd have available this year. So, our goal obviously is to make this event sustainable through fundraising. So we're going to continue to do that as robustly as we can moving forward, so that we're not having to worry about. And obviously costs go up, and we'd like to enhance the event in some ways moving forward as well. So there were some things we heard.
Yeah, we got lots of feedback, mostly positive. Here are some of the comments that we received either via email, social media, or in person. Great event. I hope it becomes a tradition is one of my favorite. Lots of comments about just how the community was engaged, people's perception of the event, and how everybody just seemed to come together is the general feeling of these comments.
Yeah. There's, as you see, there was one comment about the steep hill on Mason Lane, Mason Lane Hill, which was something I think, as we made the reroute off of Springwater or something we just had to deal with. But I think the consultants did a great job of marking it, and we gave popsicles away at the top for a while, so when people climbed up that big hill, they had some treat at the top to cool them
when
down.
I met people at Water Tower, I said, go that way, go the other way, so you come down the hill.
True, exactly.
Go counterclockwise. Anyway, yeah.
I think one of my favorites is the new Rose Villa resident who came over and just seemed really excited about being here, and had no idea that something like this was nearby and that it was really good for all ages. I mean, I think that's what, and I really keep hearing from folks, please make this an annual event. I mean, that's definitely something that people are asking for.
I think one of the benefits to our event is it being an open streets event, and you don't have to purchase a ticket to attend. It really opens barriers for people of all statuses, economically, socially, and really does bring the community together in a unique way.
Did you get any, from the tallying that people were doing of the numbers, did you get any breakdown of walking versus riding? Or various modes?
It was calculated, and it was all put together. But that would be interesting to look at, the walkers versus the bikers.
Portland usually broke that down. Yeah. My sense was, and I wrote it twice, was that we had a high percentage of walkers. Yeah. A really high percentage of walkers, which I thought was great.
I saw a lot of moms and strollers. Yeah. A lot. Sure. It was neat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have a couple hundred photos, so if you can actually, as you look through the photos, kind of see that trend too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to talk about this in a minute, but basically, we had these at each one of the activity areas, kind of asking people, like, where'd you come from? And we basically found that people were coming from all over the place. I mean, Washington. I met a woman from Japan. Like, literally was just off.
She flew in to do it.
Just off.
You need a bigger map.
She was just off the plane, actually, and said she came to our event when she got to Portland. But yeah, Washington County, I mean, just all over the place. This is just one of the examples, but we definitely pulled people from all over the place. It definitely wasn't just local folks, so that's really exciting to see.
Fun.
Who had the job of pulling all that together? I'm just interested to see, kind of what what.
You mean the location?
You had several of those boards, right? Like you had them all over.
Yeah, so. we just have this like this right now.
That
we
was
didn't
just
actually tally it up yet. We probably should do that though. Laura, we'll put that.
I mean, it's not precise. It's not very precise. I'm just curious to know,
we've been talking about how to mold all the images together, to get them on top of each other.
A GIS project, probably. Nick, are you listening? No. So some considerations for 2020, I think, obviously, like I said, we we're very happy with the attendance that we had. Obviously, the weather is something we can't control, but it didn't rain, which is good. There's definitely community interest in holding this annually. I definitely heard that over and over again at the end of the event. And just the assistance that was vital for this event, you know, the size of it, the complexity of it, all of these things, obviously it was very important for us to have Laura helping us fundraise, program the activity areas, just kind of keep on track of everything and all the little things that we need to do as we proceed, and working with the consultants as well. And obviously just the consultants. I mean, Axiom was indispensable with helping us get volunteers, tapping into their volunteer network, which is huge, and just all of the things that they brought, and the sense of calm they bring when it seems very chaotic at times.
Experience.
Because they're just used to the chaos, which maybe we're not. So, you know, all of those things, I think those are what's really vital. So before I take any more questions, I did notice that I was supposed to provide you guys with a fall events preview. So in October, we have our Final First Friday on this Friday. We have a Linwood Safe Open House on October 8th, our Arbor Day celebration that Peter talked about earlier on October 19th. Downtown trick-or-treating on October 26th. These aren't all of the events in Milwaukee, but all the ones that we think are pretty big. No offense, Davis Graveyard, because that's happening too. In November, we are going to have a plaza opening as of I believe it's going to be November 21st. I think that happened within the last couple hours, but we'll let you know more about that when we keep moving forward. December, of course, the Umbrella Parade on December 7th and the Winter Solstice and Christmas Ships on December 21st, which I've already started working on. And January, we'll be looking at the library grand opening in the Kronberg Park grand opening. So, yeah.
Well, like you said, those aren't all the events, but I just wanted to mention that there's on the 26th, there's No Ivy Day on Elk Rock Island in the morning, which doesn't interfere with trick-or-treating. And again, on the day of the Umbrella Parade, there's a work party that morning in Kronberg Park that shouldn't interfere with anybody's participation in the Umbrella Parade.
And I will get all those on the city calendar and on our volunteer page. There's a whole bunch of volunteering, actually, opportunities in October. So if you're out there and want to volunteer in October, November, take a look at our volunteer page on our city website.
We should have a special event for the opening of the sidewalk on the east side of Axle Tree.
Yes, we should on the 21st.
Close.
Is it open?
Can we
It
get
wasn't.
today? They were so close.
They've opened Washington, but they haven't opened that. And
We need to get Painted Lady to make us special sidewalk-shaped cookies.
I think that they're looking at November, unfortunately. for Axle
No.
Tree. Yeah, they had some, they had a
Some
personal
issues.
emergency with the building that they are taking care of right now. So they're close, but we're thinking that it's probably November.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody cares about the Main Street side because,
Yeah, I'm
we've
just
got
talking
it
about the
closed.
east, the
It's the 21st Avenue side.
21st.
21st Avenue sidewalks. Yeah, that's what needs to
Because
open.
I'm a rule follower. Not all of us are, but I walk that a lot.
Well, and
I am
the high
crossing
school kids all
all
walk in the street, and last week I saw a blind person with a cane walking in the street. I mean, we really need to
We need to
open
open
that sidewalk.
So I'm requesting an event in October.
We'll pass that along just for you.
Back to current events.
Yes.
Not dream made-up events.
Fantasy events.
We'll attack those other issues.
We're going to be busy the next couple months, but, we'll be okay. So I guess the question is, I mean, I think do you want us to do another Carefree Sunday event next year?
Yeah.
And I also don't want us to answer the question, is it car-free or carefree? Because I think that was actually intentional.
I always call it carefree, car-free. I use both words together. Yeah. So.
I just tell people just whatever it means to you.
Whatever it means to you.
There you go.
Me,
Works for us.
that's fine with me.
Yeah.
So.
It is a carefree, car-free day.
Right.
So,
I know that it was initially a disappointment that we didn't have the longer route along Springwater, but I felt like, and maybe this was just me, I am very low in the heat tolerance. I think several of you saw me almost keel over on my bike. But 3.5 miles seemed like plenty for us.
Oh, really? See, I'd like to see us go back to the spring water.
Riding an e-bike, thank you very much.
Yeah, I was.
And I was pretty proud of myself for making that climb. When I got up there, I was like, I'm not doing a popsicle, but appreciate that they're here.
Exactly.
I think we're going to look at. I think we'll look at the original route. I mean, we don't make any assumptions now on whether or not we can use the spring water trail. So we'll probably want to talk to Portland Parks about any other plans they might have.
So you're thinking it would be the same route, not a different.
Yeah, I like the idea of moving around if we can, especially as we build out this network. You know, I mean,
to some extent, but maybe there are some of the components that stay the same. Like, especially if neighbors like Grace Point want to participate in that type of thing.
I'm also going to add that next year we're going to have construction in new places.
Right.
So we may be modifying the route just because we have construction in new places.
It'd be kind of cool to do the route across the bridge through Kronberg into Island Station, then back into.
We should wait until we have those safe projects completed, though.
Yeah.
On River and.
On River?
Yeah.
But if we're closing whatever we're.
That's true.
I don't know.
Well, we don't have to decide that now, but I like the idea of moving it around.
Yeah, but
I mean, I think crossing 224 and crossing 9090 are both big things, and a route that did both would probably break the bank. And the amount that you can do all on this side of 224 is very difficult because you can't go that far because Lake Road is sort of there's not an alternative to Lake Road once you get past like 37th or something.
Yeah.
Also under construction next year.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So
Safety
the number
best for all.
But to your point, that 3.5 miles was very manageable. People were able to do the entire route, see all of the activity areas.
Yeah.
Some even did it twice. So, yeah,
And I
there's something
wonder
to
if
said for
that contributed to having the higher pedestrian, or
Probably.
it's seemingly a higher pedestrian participation, because walking 3.5 versus 5 is a little different.
I'd much rather walk 3.5 than 5. Thank you.
Yeah, and I definitely got comments about folks, in terms of using the spring water trail. When we first talked about that, some folks felt like, let's just keep it all in the neighborhoods, going by people's houses in the neighborhood. So, when you use spring water, you lose that a little bit, like that little section that's not in the neighborhood. So, I mean, I think, we'll have to look at that. I mean, I think there's pros and cons to both. Even talking with our consultants, they really like this route because they're usually doing Sunday parkways that are much longer, and they really like the feel of the shorter route for like all the reasons we've been talking about. People can walk it. It feels really easy. It's very connected. So there's just stuff going on. You don't have like long stretches where there's not a lot happening. So things like that. So. Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of, I think doing this same route again would actually help us improve the experience as well, because now we can kind of look at it a little bit closer, and some of those bugs that we had, we might be able to fix them,
Well, and that is the Portland model, is they would do one area for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then they would move, They did Selwood for 2 years, but a lot of places they've done it, their inner southeast route they've done many, many years, so.
Right.
From a budget perspective, it's definitely easier to put money towards entertainment and growing other things if we're not focusing that on rerouting.
Anytime we flag an intersection, there's a cost involved with making the plans to flag that intersection, things like that. Now we already have those plans. We can reuse them next year. So
lots of things to consider.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job. It was a great event.
Yeah.
Great.
I appreciate your support with an event like this. It was a big pool, but it was fun, and I'm here in October. It took me about a month to recuperate, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We need to take a 10 to 15-minute break before we go into the MRC.
Well, I have my announcements.
Reports. All right, go.
I will
stop
do that.
talking.
All right. The next and final First Friday event of the season is October 4th from 5 to 9 p.m. A few highlights for October include the Little by Little 3 art show at 2 venues in downtown and at Encaustics Showcase at City Hall. Check the city homepage and the First Friday Facebook page for more details. Reserve a seat in a kayak or a canoe and bring your own boat to the annual Great Willamette Cleanup on Saturday, October 5th from 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Learn more on the city's homepage about how to sign up to volunteer. Join project staff for a drop-in event on Tuesday, October 8th to learn more about the Linwood Avenue Safe Project. Staff will bring preliminary design plans and will be available to answer questions and give a project overview. The open house will take place at Linwood Elementary from 5 to 7 p.m. Join the Davis Graveyard on Sunday, October 13th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for their annual open house block party. This is the only time that they will allow the public onto the property to view the props up close. Please keep in mind that Southeast 43rd Avenue is closed for this event from Johnson Creek Boulevard to Roswell Street. Join the Milwaukee Tree Board, city staff, and other volunteers to celebrate Arbor Day on Saturday, October 19th from 10 a.m. to noon at the city's Johnson Creek building. At this year's celebration, volunteers will plant trees and attendees will enjoy some refreshments, have an opportunity to pick up a free tree to plant in their own yard, have questions answered about tree-related matters, and take home resources about why our urban forest canopy matters. Anyone interested in volunteering is asked to RSVP. Visit the city's event calendar on the homepage to find out how to RSVP. Following 2 years of work and community engagement, the city is preparing to amend its comprehensive plan. Join us on Wednesday, October 23rd to review the draft policies and learn more about the upcoming adoption process. The open house will take place at the Public Safety Building, and you can stop by anytime between 5:30 and 7:30 p.m. Join NCPRD and the No Ivy League on Saturday, October 26th from 9 a.m. to noon in a region-wide effort to remove English ivy from parks and natural areas. The focus of the event in Milwaukee is at Elk Rock Island. Visit the city's calendar on the homepage to find information about signing up to volunteer. Milwaukee's downtown businesses once again invite the community to its annual downtown trick-or-treating event on Saturday, October 26th from 2 to 5 p.m. This is a great opportunity to explore downtown with the entire family while gathering lots of treats along the way. Lastly, join the Davis Graveyard on Thursday, October 31st from 5 to 10 p.m. for their Halloween night block party. Once again, keep in mind that Southeast 43rd Avenue will be closed for the event from Southeast Johnson Creek Boulevard to Southeast Roswell Street. For more information about each of the events mentioned, please visit the city's homepage at www.milwaukeeoregon.gov. Upon adjournment of the regular session, council will meet.
Oh, wait, I had a couple things to add.
Go.
One is, it's not until November, but I just want to get it out there that the Milwaukee Parks Foundation is having their first ever fundraiser launch party. There'll be live music, there'll be silent auctions, there'll be appetizers, there'll be door prizes. Tickets are for sale online. Go to www.milwaukeeparksfoundation.org. The tickets will also be sold here on the grounds of City Hall at a booth during First Friday this week. So you can buy tickets either way for that event. It's $10 per person or $15 for a couple. And another thing I wanted to just mention is a lot of the work parties that are coming up were listed here tonight. I was on an email exchange, as was the mayor and maybe some others of you, with about 100 people, with a guy sort of, it became clear to me that not everybody knows where to find information about if people who want to do sort of habitat restoration work, volunteer work, don't always know where to go for that. So I wanted to sort of talk about that a little bit. There are sort of, in my mind, the city promotes some on our website and our Facebook and through the emails that Jason sends out every Friday that go out through the neighborhood associations. There are 4 other organizations that I think are worth following on Facebook or checking their websites if you're interested in doing that kind of work. And, the work parties are, some people just want to do it for themselves. Some people are looking to bring a group of employees. Some people, the employer will release employees to do it, and that's great because that's a lot of numbers. Sometimes it's like a high school kid who needs some community service hours. However you come at it, the places that I would suggest looking are the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District, the Milwaukee Parks Foundation, the Johnson Creek Watershed Council, and the North Clackamas Watershed Council. Those are kind of the main groups in our immediate area that are doing that kind of restoration work. As noted on the list here, there's also like the Great Willamette Cleanup, which is Willamette Riverkeeper. There are other groups in the bigger region, but those 4 are kind of the main 4 as I see it in our area. So people out there who are looking to connect with nature and do some habitat restoration work, there are tons of opportunities. There's, almost every Saturday through this fall. So, yeah.
Anybody else, anything? No. Okay, upon adjournment of the regular session, council will meet as the Milwaukee Redevelopment Commission. But we're going to take about a 15-minute break before that happens so that the TV folks can reset their thing. All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.